Hello, welcome to my channel. If you are new to the channel, please like, subscribe, and you can share the video. So this is another week. We talk about weekly trade reviews where I review the trades I took the previous week. So with this section, mostly what I do is to talk about weekly trades review and also talk about the projection for the week. So I'll mostly be focusing on the trade reviews, and then the projection for the week would be scheduled for Tuesday, which would be every Tuesday. And so today I would do a long-term projection kind of analysis, and then on Tuesday we'll do weekly analysis. All right. So last week was a little tricky. We had a very slow week last week. Last week was very slow. So you see there was a lot of consolidation that took place. So you see this is pretty much what happened. This is Euro GBP. What happened on Euro GBP in the entire week. So this is on a daily time frame. Nothing really. You see that kind of move similar on most pairs. Like price was just stuck in a very tight range on most pairs. Oh, sorry. I think I'm not showing my screen. So price was stuck on most range on most pairs. Euro GBP, very tight range. AED and NZD, and you can see that about almost all the pairs. Right, tight range, tight range, tight range. We had some significant moves getting to the end of the week, like on Gbpusd, but you see it spent the entire week at the top, and then on Friday it broke out. So that was how the week was. So my trades for last week were mostly focused on the USD pair. So I did a couple of scalps on GBP USD. Right, so this is on a daily time frame. You see there was no significant move here, but you see there was very multiple pushes here, like down, up, down, up, and this is 150 pip range. So this is a GBP pair. Because it was just moving in that tight range, it offered the opportunity to get that scalps to the up and down like that. And I took a couple of trades on NZD USD. Let's go to the 4-hour time frame. Yeah, NZD USD. I took this trade from here. That was on Thursday, I think. But I got out like around here. I couldn't wait for this to get to it was taking so long. I think this was on Friday. It was on Friday. So you see, most of the pairs, that is what it did. And I spent most of the week buying and selling GBP AUD, GBP USD, and the loss I took for last week was on AUD JPY. So here, yeah, so that's this is the trade here. All right, so I was looking at price rejecting this level and pushing to the upside, and then we had price breaking below. Like this was a good retest trade, but mostly when I take a loss on a trade, I don't like going on to the same trade again, because sometimes you might be influenced by that previous trade, and you might just be looking to get into another trade. So I try to stay away on the next possible move and look for another move later in another day. So this was a break and retest trade, but I didn't take that. So this was one of the losses I took last week. And other moves that I was waiting for that didn't happen was Gbpusd. So Gbpusd has been consolidating for some time. After the CHF strength, it has been in that consolidation phase. So last week around this level, I was expecting price to reject and start pushing, which I didn't get a confirmation on the trade. I didn't take it. The same for Nzdchf. I was expecting a reversal, but I didn't get any confirmation. I didn't take that too. So talking about Nzdchf, this is a level I'll be keeping an eye on. I'll be keeping an eye on in this zone here. Going into landing New York session, if price pushes into this level, I'll buy this to the top. It's not really a lot of pips, so this is a decent 44 pips. It's not terrible. I'll be looking for something similar on Nzdchf as well, right? So this is a zone I've marked up, so I'll be looking at something of that. So this is like about 50 pips, depending on which zone he decides to go in. So last week was a very, very slow week for me. Very, very slow week for me. And I was expecting USD weakness, which it came, but it came later and then getting to the end of the week. Like we didn't get it earlier on in the week. It came on Friday. So price ended up consolidating for a very long time. And then we had the final push, a good push on Friday. So here price has broken out of this level. I would like to see the reaction of this low here. And if price breaks this going into landing section, I expect the weakness of the dollar to continue to test this level here. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, we would look at what's next would happen on the dollar. Right. But as I said, I'm going to do a full review on Tuesday, and our weekly reviews are going to be Tuesday from now on. And then I'll do the weekly trade reviews of the previous trades week on either I think Saturday would make a lot of sense. So like Saturday, and we'll do weekly trade reviews on Tuesdays, and then trying to avoid Mondays. And I'll do a section about Monday trading. So this is the US government 10-year bond. I might do a lesson on this. I'm expecting this to reject this level and push to the downside. I'll keep an eye on that. Similar on that was bond yield. That was bond yield, and this is bond. The JPY. Well, so JPY is very tricky currently. So we have price creating the good thing is price failed to form a lower low. So this was the lowest point that price came to. Price created this low, right? And it's now creating lower highs, higher lows, but no highs are being broken. So that is like an inside trend within the bigger trend. But if we check the JPY index, we see price is still very weak, even though we had some momentum coming in from Friday, but we're still weak. The trend is still super bearish, right? So we would like to see going into next week, we expect a lot of moves happening this week, because what happens is if we have a very slow week the previous week, mostly the next week we'll try to compensate for what happened the previous week. So we'd expect much more momentum coming into the market this week, right? So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this call because last week was not that crazy. Most of my trades were on Gbpusd. If you follow on Instagram, you will see like I made a couple of posts on Gbpusd and Usdcad. I shared this analysis. I was looking at price rejecting from this level here, which it did, and created a liquidity here. So this is what I was looking at, a test of this liquidity, and price did not get there, but structure is changing a little bit. We have this low taking down. We would like to see how this candle close getting into the New York session, and we'll know whether price would push to the side to test, or it will test the broken low and then drop, right? So this is something I'll be keeping an eye on, but as I said, I'll do a few trade reviews on Tuesday. But just because we are already doing this, and you might watch this and you might want to see certain kind of moves to expect for the week, I'll throw in a few analysis, like just a quick outlook of how I see the market. So I'll do this on a bigger time frame. So look at this on the daily time frame. So here with the idea with the USDcad trade, we see USDcad has been ranging for a really long time. We have price taking out this high here. This high was taken out, created a new high. But what happened at this level here is that price failed to close above this high, created a new high. And if you look closely, we see a head and shoulders here, right? And price broke this daily level here, right? So what we are looking at on the 4-hour, just like what we just look at, price has taken out this low here. So it's either we push to test this level or we come back to test this trend line. And on the 4-hour, it looks a little clearer, like you see the zone. And then price also left this liquidity here that we could be potentially pushing to test. And price is also creating another liquidity here. So we'll look at it, but this is looking more bearish. So another major level you would want to see price break is this level here. So what price might decide to do is to break this level and come back to test this liquid or that liquid and then drop. So that is my outlook for USDcad, all things being equal. USDCHF, if dollar drops, so what I was looking at, so if you look at the daily time frame on USDCHF, you see that USDCHF has come to a level where price spent a lot of time and price is struggling to break this level here. So it makes a lot of sense to expect some pullback into this level before it drops, but this would depend on how the dollar reacts. So you see this is doing like an inside, like it's giving us some tight range corrective push into these levels here, mostly around this level here. If price is going to a level and it starts going to the level very slow, there's a very high chance that this level is going to get broken. Okay. But if I see some momentum pushes to the upside, I would expect price to come back to test this liquid before it drops. But it will all depend on what the dollar index would show us. So keep a close eye on it. But we are at a very good decision making point here. And if we've waited for all this consolidation here, there is no rush to try and make any haste decision. We'll wait for price to give us a confirmation to go either short or long here. But currently we are still bearish and high chances of price pushing to the downside until continuing that push to the downside until we see any big changes. So I'll be expecting if I'm expecting a reversal on this, I'll be looking to buy this on Wednesday, not tomorrow or Tuesday. Here's CHF, very similar. So like it has like a very similar structure like the CHF. So you see most of the CHFs, they dropped after the interest rates released by the Swiss National Bank. And that also affected the push up on CHF JPY. But with CHF JPY, we see price has topped here, creating a double top and price testing liquidity. So this is a level that I'll be looking at. I only look to short this when price breaks below this level here because price is sitting on this liquid. So if price breaks below this level, I might be looking to go down, but I don't want to make any decisions because this is Sunday, Monday morning, and a lot of changes can happen going into Monday. So the best time you want to be analyzing the market is after the Monday moves or early Tuesday, right? GBP USD, very similar. So you see most of the pairs are in that tight squeeze, right? What I'm kind of expecting with my weak Dixie bias, all things being equal, I would be looking at a potential drop of GBP USD into this zone here. And then I'll be looking for some buys here. This would be very good if we get a strong GBP in addition to this. So in that case, this is a level that I was looking at. We see Euro GBP trying to stay below the 8600 level, right? Multiple rejection. So this is something I'll be keeping an eye on. Could see price coming back to create a double top or something. And if this happens, GBP USD will be a really good trade because in that case, if we get a weak dollar and a strong GBP, it means that push can give us like a couple of hundreds of pips, so something to keep an eye on. Another thing I'll be keeping an eye on this week is Euro NZD. So Euro NZD, if you look at the daily, you'd see price bottom here, created this low, and it's struggling at this level here. This is a major decision point that price is at the moment. Price needs to break this level and push to the upside or come back to test this level. Whichever one we get this week would be interesting because this is 370 pips and that push is about 500 pips. So, but we might not look to go there. I think we'll just focus on somewhere around here, which is still about 300 pips. So it's one of the pairs I'll be looking out for. But if we get a weak dollar, a weak dollar would mean that. So 1 sec. A weak dollar would mean this. All right. A weak dollar is going to see Euro NZD drop to the downside. It might look very complicated to you, but in the future maybe I might explain. But if we get a weak dollar, Euro NZD is most likely going to drop to the downside. So this is something I would like to keep an eye on. And just a pro tip here. So mostly you see the dollar pairs can be very tricky to decipher. They have very clean structures, but sometimes looking at the dollar pairs to decide whether the Dixie would become strong or weak can be very tricky. So what I use to help me decide what is going to happen with the dollar is the exotic pairs. So if you look at USD and NZD, the exotic pairs, what they do is they are the first pairs to move, or they are the first USD pairs to start moving. We see here that USD ZAR has created this level here and left liquidity here, which is signifying a push to tap liquidity and drop. And you see the same thing happening on what USD MXN, which has already started pushing to the downside. So this is already signaling what weakness coming into the dollar, right? But with USD MXN, it's a little tricky because this level here also serves as a potential inverse head and shoulders pattern. So that one is a little dicey there, but yeah. So like it's one thing to notice that the weakness or strength in dollar is most likely going to show on the exotic pairs before you see them on the other pairs, right? Yeah. So rounding up, last week was very tricky. It was a very tricky week, a lot of consolidation. So we would expect some momentum coming into the market this weekend. I'll do a few market review on what to expect in the market on Tuesday. So like the video, comment on something you learned in the video or something you want me to talk about, and I'll look at it and give it a consideration. So thanks for being on, and in the next video.